Guys, let's start with the latest on the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I don't want to get too technical or legal on you, but I think it's best described as a mess. Right now would be the easiest way to do it, where it's in bankruptcy court, it's in divorce court. We thought last time we were talking about the Dodgers, Michael, they weren't going to be able to meet their end of June payroll. They did, but they had to take out a loan.
Right, and they have a $150 million loan from a hedge fund owned by J.P. Morgan. A judge has said they could use $60 million of that loan. They'll probably be able to use the remainder of the loan as well. So I think as far as meeting payroll, the team is okay for this season. Beyond that, things get a little bit more dicey. I guess it's probably going to come down to if they can get a new cable TV deal.
Yeah, look, the loan that they have now is called a debtor in possession financing, DIP loan. And what it does is it primes all the other debt. So it's a great loan for the hedge fund to make. It gives them plenty of liquidity to get through the season. And to meet the expenses that are caused by this bankruptcy, frankly. So I think they're going to be okay in the short run. In the long run, I guess the big debate's going to be, are they going to be able to sell their media rights? Because if they can, Frank's pretty much in the clear with the Dodgers. If not, there's going to be a real distressed situation.
You're obviously talking about owner Frank McCourt. He had to throw this into a bankruptcy court now, and that's changed since we last talked. But isn't he just borrowing money upon money upon money now? How does this change, Sal?
Well, it's difficult to see the exit here without a sale of the franchise. The only other exit is he gets that media deal done with someone. He has a very large media deal on the table, apparently from Fox. Fox has pulled back since the bankruptcy. He would like to auction off those media rights. And, he could get up to $350 million up front and a very substantial annual fee for those media rights. And that would give him the ability to continue to operate the team.
Yeah, and I think for McCourt, it was really important that he got the loan from J.P. Morgan rather than Major League Baseball, because if Major League Baseball lent him the money, I think that would have started the process of Major League Baseball looking for someone to buy the team. At least with this loan from the hedge fund, McCourt is still running the team day to day right now. And I think further complicating the matter is McCourt has divided the Dodgers, the stadium, into so many different assets right now, it would really complicate a sale process.
Like Bob said, it's a mess. And one of the reasons it's a mess is there are so many operating subsidiaries. The stadium is in a subsidiary, the land is in a subsidiary, the team's in a separate subsidiary, and he has a whole bunch of other operating subsidiaries. Now, of course, his argument is he set up this structure with the approval of Major League Baseball. They approved every single loan he got for each of the entities. But it makes it much more difficult to resolve the situation through a bankruptcy because you have so many more entities involved in this bankruptcy.
What could ultimately a bankruptcy judge say about this?
In the final analysis, he's going to have to decide whether, A, they allow him to auction off the media rights. If he decides not to, then I think the only other course of action here is what's called a 363 sale. It's a sale through the bankruptcy process supervised by the court, where the judge tries to get the highest and best offer for the team, subject to Major League Baseball approval, of course.
Does Major League Baseball have any say in the auctioning of the media rights? Because Frank McCourt already had that deal in place with Fox that was for about $300 million up front, which was going to help him pay off his debt, pay off his divorce to his wife. That's still in flux. Does Major League Baseball have a say in it?
That's the crux of the argument. Baseball says it does. Frank says they don't. The court is going to decide, and whatever they decide, I fear that it's going to be appealed. So this thing is going to be here for a while.
And just to make it more complicated, right?
It's not complicated enough.
We have the sale of a portion of the New York Mets supposedly to David Einhorn, the hedge fund manager. And you got to wonder, that deal was supposed to close the end of June. It still hasn't happened. And if baseball has to lend the Mets money to meet payroll, that's going to give Einhorn more ammunition. I mean, that's just going to make this process even more complicated.
Yeah, and look, what happens in court, right? McCourt is going to say the Mets are out of compliance because they can't fund their operations. Baseball has to continue to subsidize them. I've never borrowed a dime from baseball, and yet they've put somebody into my office to run the team. So it makes his argument stronger, clearly. So I don't think baseball really wants to lend the Mets any more money. They're hoping that the Einhorn deal closes soon. We'll see.
And you got to wonder, guys, how much of this does baseball want to have come out in court? I mean, because all of these particulars are going to come out. They're going to start to think, well, we did certain guys, certain favors of certain owners, and then not doing it to other people. Does Major League Baseball, if I'm Bud Selig, I don't really want a lot of this coming out in court.
It's a lot of potentially damaging, I should say, depositions that they could take from people and a lot of facts that they really don't want to get out into the public domain. And, once you do get into the discovery process, all that stuff, as you well know, Mike, goes into the court and it's a matter of public domain. Anybody can get it. And, you don't necessarily want that information.
That'd be good for a guy like me, but not for Major League Baseball.
You would be great.
I can get it.
But in a way, maybe isn't that why Frank McCourt is hanging on? He wants the cachet of owning the Dodgers, but he also knows right now he could just say, I'll put the team up for sale. And the team, Sal, as we've talked about, would sell for a good dollar, and he'd be out of all his debt and all of his problems, but
Absolutely.
He wants to stick around.
Look, he wants to own it. Clearly, he's willing to fight to keep this asset. But as you said, this is an extremely valuable property, and if it does go to a full and open auction, it'll fetch a very high number. Probably the highest number ever for a Major League Baseball team.